With little visibility and unforgiving winds, the snowball turned into a game of hot potato, with each team punting the ball back in hopes the other side would make a mistake. The Buckeyes capitalized first by turning a blocked punt into a field goal by Heisman Trophy winner Dick Janowitz. A safety by the Wolverines made the score 3-2. With under a minute left in the first half and a chance to run out the clock and retain a halftime lead, Ohio State coach Wes Fessler sent out his punter instead.
Tony Thompson, the center for Michigan, went through and blocked Janowitz's punt, fell on the ball in the end zone for the game's only touchdown. Michigan won that game 9-3 without registering a single first down.
And the field turns into a bedlam of overjoyed Wolverine rooters. It's a great victory for Michigan.
Fessler never coaches another day at Ohio State. He's out.
The Wolverines escaped Columbus and made an unplanned trip to the Rose Bowl. With snowdrifts reaching 25 feet, the Great Appalachian Storm of 1950 claimed the lives of dozens of Ohioans and the job of yet another Buckeyes coach. Ohio State had long been considered the graveyard of coaches, and the program's search for its 19th field general, its 6th in 12 seasons, yielded the uninspiring name Wayne Woodrow Hayes. Woody, as he was called, had led impressive teams at Denison University and Miami of Ohio. But after 3 unremarkable seasons in Columbus, which included 2 shutout losses to Michigan, it appeared Hayes's tenure would last only as long as it took to dig another grave. But in 1954, a funny thing happened on the way to the funeral.
The turning point in that season is the fourth quarter of the Michigan game. Michigan comes to town under Coach Benny Oosterbaan, and they take the opening kickoff and they drive the length of the field. The Buckeyes, right before halftime, tie the score 7-7. The third quarter is scoreless, but as play opens up in the fourth quarter,
we took the ball down all the way to the 1-yard line, and we had 4 shots at it.
Michigan then rams that Ohio State line, trying to get into the end zone, and falls short.
We had them on the ropes, man. It was awful.
That goal line stand at the south end of Ohio Stadium in the 1954 Michigan game was truly the turning point in Woody Hayes' career.
Spurred by the defense, Buckeye great Howard Hopalong Cassidy led OSU to a 21-7 victory, propelling the Scarlet and Gray to a surprising undefeated season in the 1954 National Championship. Beginning in '54, Woody's Buckeyes won 11 of 15 against the Wolverines and were crowned national champions again in '57 and '61. Woody Hayes had finally jammed a wedge in the revolving coaching door at Ohio State. More military tactician than X's and O's strategist, Hayes won with a brick-and-mortar approach, shunning the pass for 3 yards in a cloud of dust. In fact, Hayes' teams might have been called dull, if not for the man himself.
I saw this older guy, real mild-mannered guy, and I didn't know he was General Patton in disguise.
He's the guy you gotta hit him. You race your butt off. Get off the field.
He's the meanest sucker you've ever seen.
I'll be a goddamn son of a bitch. You're a bigot. Listen.
In practice, he would get so upset.
For God's sake.
That there was a fumble or there was an interception, that he would bite his hand until it bled.
He used to throw his hat down and stomp it, and then he would grab the hat and just tear it apart.
Snap his glasses.
He took the watch off, threw the watch down, and jumped up and down on that.
He looked like a raving madman.
Oh, God damn him. Oh, well, shit.
Woody Hayes once said, "Show me a gracious loser, and I'll show you a busboy."
You're damn right.
If anybody gives you a compliment, kick him right in the shins, unless it's a lady over 80. But I tell you what, when you're out in practice field and you see that kind of emotion and intensity,
hell, there's no question who will win.
Everyone's game elevates.
Come on,
Nobody would ever outwork him. When we came in on summer practice at 7 in the morning, he was passed out on a couch at the facility and the projector was still going. He fell asleep watching film. And he'd hear us and get up, get a shower, and go right back to work.
Hayes' unflinching dedication and tyrannical temper were legendary. as was his disdain for the maize and blue.
He would never refer to Michigan by name. Anytime he referred to the University of Michigan, it was always that team up north.
They were recruiting a kid in Michigan, and as they were going south, they actually ran out of gas.
He said he would push his car across the state line before he would buy any gasoline in the state of Michigan.
Woody Hayes was everything we loathed.
I did not like Woody Hayes. I didn't like anything about Woody Hayes.
You know something? I couldn't care less about that.
It all stems from my father's incredible distaste for his arrogance.
And I don't think the players are worried about it any more than I am.
If I had to pick one evil force in my life growing up as a grade school student here in Ann Arbor, it should be Brezhnev or somebody. It was Woody Hayes.
If there was any question that Hayes reveled in the enmity of his foes, the 1968 encounter left no doubt.
It was a close ball game. It was 14-14. And then all of a sudden, bingo.
We got shellacked. Is this game ever going to end? We couldn't stop them, and we couldn't do anything against them. And Woody showed no mercy.
Ohio State just exploded in the second half and ended up winning that game 50-14. A lot of the Michigan players were pretty upset at the end of the game because after Jim Otis had scored his 4th touchdown, he throws the football into the stand. Woody Hayes sent the offense back on the field for a 2-point conversion.
And that was just to rub it in. That was just to stick it in our face.
In the dressing room after the game, and one of the sports writers was asking Woody Hayes, hey, you were up by 36 points, the game's almost over, why would you go for 2?
His response, because they wouldn't let me go for 3.
Columbus was abuzz with Buckeye fever, as Ohio State followed its win over Michigan by beating O.J. Simpson's USC Trojans in the Rose Bowl. The Bucs' 4th national title under Woody Hayes was salt in the wound of Wolverine fans, who were experiencing something unfamiliar from their beloved program: mediocrity. A losing record over 10 previous seasons had turned a once packed big house into a cavernous memorial to past UM glory.
People cared about Michigan football, but had felt that it had sort of fallen on hard times. You could go up to the ticket counter and buy a ticket and walk on in, and there were many times when I'd sit down in the end zone as a high school student and they'd be half empty.
1951 to 1968, Michigan wins exactly 1 Big Ten title over an 18-year period. It's barely a rivalry there for a while.
That all changed in 1969.
The headline in the Detroit newspapers said,
Bo-hoo.
Bo-hoo.
Bo-hoo?
Glenn Schembechler got the nickname Bo from his little sister's attempts to say brother when they were young. Most everything else he got from Woody Hayes. The Barberton, Ohio native and son of a fireman was an offensive tackle at Miami of Ohio during Hayes' tenure as Redskins coach. Beginning in 1958, Schembechler studied under Hayes for 5 seasons as a Buckeye assistant. The lessons paid off during 6 winning seasons as head coach of his alma mater, Miami. Despite his success, Michigan fans were left to wonder how a coach with such unnerving ties to the enemy could recapture the program's once proud tradition. Then again, few are as keenly aware of Wolverine lore as a Buckeye.
Michigan was not Michigan at that time. Michigan had a debt of $250,000. The facilities were a mess. They had rickety old wooden chairs. They got dressed in the second floor of the basketball arena at the time. They hung their hats on rusty nails in 2x4s bolted into the wall.
We walked into the locker room that was supposedly be our dressing room here at Michigan and looked up there and saw a nail on the wall. And we started complaining we had better facilities at Miami and this and that and both.
Better stuff at Miami? Gentlemen, see that rickety seat right there? Fielding Yost sat down in that seat. You see that rusty nail right there? Fielding Yost hung his hat on that rusty nail. We've got tradition here, Michigan tradition, and that's something no one else has. The first task was to get their attention, and he got it right away. He said, I will treat you all the same like dogs.